I'm at Myrtle Beach. Well, not really at the beach. I'm about 10 miles from the coast. I'm here at the condo that I live, but if you can see, I'm right next to a lake. So I'm going to be reading Miss Elsie's letter number 6. If you see an alligator sneak up on me, wait, let me know. I see something in the water right there. There's another. Oh, that's a turtle. It's a bunch of turtles and all. There's a golf course here, but I'm going to read letter 6. I started to read it. Remember, I haven't read these letters in 20 years, so when I started to read it, I was reminded of some painful experiences I went through. And between 1975 and 1977, I was going to court, eventually was convicted of one thing. They gave me a year probation, and they released me out on bond. I was going to school that way, and also managed, by the grace of God, to go in mission field when I was out on bond. When I came back from Europe and I entered into Western Bible College, I right away began to experience great persecution, which really surprised me because the persecution didn't come from outside the school, it came from within the school. In one professor in particular, who was a dean of students at Western Bible College, he did not want me there, and he made it really clear to me that I didn't belong in any kind of Bible college. That man later on, he stayed in the college for so many years, and later on I learned that he was caught in pornography. Him and his wife were divorced. Just a whole bad scenario. But I used to tell Miss Elsie I'd go into office because he would confuse me all the time. He would say things to me that were inappropriate, and he's what they would call a spiritual bully. And at the time, I didn't really understand. I was very naive and everything. But I came real close to knocking that guy out. And so I ended up leaving college because of him. And I'm going back down to Texas now and really struggling. And Miss Elsie's writing me this letter. She said, this is Tuesday, it's March 22nd, 1977. But I'm home. I went to school yesterday, but I really should not have gone. By the time I came home last night, I felt terrible and realized I would have to stay home today. And she goes on to say, here is a verse that's been a great blessing to me recently. Now, mind you, she's writing me in this context of what I had just gone through. Wherefore let them that suffer according to the will of God commit the keeping of their soul to Him in well-doing as unto a faithful Creator. And that's found in 1 Peter 4:19. And she said, this was not written by a man who, excuse me as I grab these pages, it's windy out here, who lived in an ivory tower away from reality and all its problems. He was in the boat when Jesus was asleep, and no doubt Peter was the one who said to Jesus, don't you care if we perish? It was Peter that wrote that verse. Don't you care if we perish? Again, Peter was in the boat when the disciples were so afraid in the storm. Then later, Peter denied Jesus because of fear. At that point, he hadn't experienced what he was to later write in 1 Peter 4:19 by faith. By now I can hear him say to these believers, I hope when you go through these experiences, you will trust God more than I did. And it won't take you so long to realize that He is a faithful Creator. So I was going through all that, and mind you, I'm going to stand up and walk a little bit. As I look back on it now, why would God let me experience the kind of emotional abuse by believers? I mean, I can see getting persecuted by unbelievers, but why believers? And I was so naive in this, it really would confuse me. And but God has a purpose for everything. Back then, when somebody did something to me, they're lucky to walk out of, without a physical confrontation. And so I was for the first time having to learn how to control myself, or let God control me. So it was very, very difficult. As I read the Bible, and one of the beautiful things about the Bible is that you see everything and all the negative things about David's life, Moses' life, David having committed adultery, Moses having killed a man, Paul having persecuted the whole church, Peter having denied Christ and all that. You see the vulnerability of humanity and the experiences. And that has been my experience as well, is because I've suffered and did some things that I shouldn't have done. But I've also experienced the gracefulness of God and how God always comes through, as Miss Elsie is writing me here. And she said, man, I don't want to lose these letters into the lake. That would be bad. So I'm just out here talking. I'm reading these letters and remembering all the things. And she goes, the very timing of your leaving for Texas was surely directed by God. So again, I remember that now because I hadn't thought about it in so many years, and I remember the emotional dilemma that I was in at that time. Now I would handle it a lot different when that guy said something to me, like they do now, if they try to. I pretty well put them in their place. But back then it confused me and I didn't know what to say or do. But I harbored inside of my heart, I want to knock this guy out. So, bear with me. We're still getting up there. We're still in 1977. I got a long ways to go and grow. Miss Elsie sending me these great letters. The last letter she talked about, nothing can hinder a person from the will of God that really wants to be used of God. And this one is to go through trials, putting our trust by faith in the one that will not allow us to go through these trials alone. He is sovereign over all our affairs. I'll give you one last look. See if you see any alligators in there. Here's some turtles. Okay, I see. I don't want to get too close to the edge. Those alligators come out pretty fast. There's some turtles right there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's a couple more swimming. Maybe they think I'm going to feed them. I don't know. But they have a sign right out here where it says, do not feed the alligators. Very dangerous. Okay, God bless you all. I'll be back tomorrow with in 1 Thessalonians. See you later.